Good morning, everybody. This live Facebook show is brought to you by my BBTV again. And today we're going to have a fantastic discussion about personal branding with our friendly expert, Nathaniel Schooler. And we have the honor and the chance today to welcome Jason Kanigan with us. So I will leave for now the place to Jason so he can be with us online.
Thank you.
Hey, Jason.
Hey, merci Stéphane. Much appreciated.
Pour moi.
C'est tout. C'est vrai, je suis Canadien. So.
Je
parle un petit peu. Je l'oublie la langue, mais je parle un petit peu.
I have this habit of just bringing Canadian people in. Like, what is this?
Last time Nathaniel did the trick, he brought my neighbor.
Yeah, 5 minute drive from Stefan. Yeah, is one of our new clients.
Nice, very nice.
Yeah, very cool.
So, thank you guys. So, you have created a new book called Cheers to You, which as soon as I saw you bought it, I immediately or created it, I immediately went out and bought my own copy, and had a chance to look at it this weekend. Very excited to talk with you about it. The concept is to create a life you don't need a vacation from. And I thought with you that it would be a very good idea for us to discuss it today, because maybe people are watching and thinking, well, okay, that sounds good. I see some messages like that here and there maybe, but who does Nathaniel Schooler help? Who is in the right position? Am I in the right position to be helped? Right? And so I thought maybe we could talk about this and some examples of people that you have worked with. And that maybe will resonate with some folks out there, and they could come talk to you if they believe that that's the right thing.
For sure.
Talk to me about Cheers to You. How did you come up with that concept? I know you're an IBM futurist, and that has excited me about following you for a long time. I've been following you for years because I'm always interested in what you have to say, because it's a very high level. I can't write for IBM. I'm not allowed. So let's hear it, man.
Yeah, I mean, well, personally for me, that was actually something that IBM approached me thanks to my personal brand, and I honed my writing skills over, say, 5 or 6 years. Actually, I had a teacher at school that used to his classes were so dull, his English classes were so dull that I just kind of didn't really do too much, and then one day I kind of woke up and I was like, well, actually, I want to learn how to write. So I just spent a bit of time honing the personal branding process. I learned from someone who has used the same process for business brands and actually for lots of other individuals. And he worked with Krug Champagne and Remy Martin Cognac, and he did the Petronas oil company. He did the brand strategy for them and launched them into Formula One. And he's actually a barrister, and he has a degree in international business law and marketing as well, which gives him so much complexity that he kind of helped me to learn this process, this time-honored process that he learned. And it's been used for many, many years in marketing, and actually getting the wording right is so important. And I think it's actually crucial for people wherever they are in their career, whether they're a university student or they're coming to a change in their career, or they're launching their own business, for example, or even they're a solopreneur. And I think these things are really, really important. I mean, some of our first clients, my first clients that I worked with, in fact, I worked with a top executive PA/business manager. And she was really struggling to get a job at that time because it was quite a competitive time in her career. She got made redundant, unfortunately, like a lot of people in the oil industry. She had a fantastic job. She worked 9 to 5. It was really relaxed. She had a fancy office in London, that kind of story. And she loved her job. She loved her boss. and she was devastated, you know. And so I said, all right, look, I can actually help you to get this nailed and get your wording right, so that people actually can understand why you're better than anybody else on your CV, because the nature of her job was quite private due to the type of high net worth individuals she worked with. She couldn't actually have a LinkedIn profile. She couldn't have all of these social channels and use them in the way that you and I and other business people would use them, because of the kind of clients she worked with. So that was quite a difficult hurdle for my brain to overcome. Firstly, that was a difficult one. It wasn't all sunshine and roses, and that was something that I really struggled with. And working with her, it was like she wanted it done her way, in a box and wrapped up with a bow on it, and that was it. And that's what we did. And I actually initially worked with my mentor on this particular client, because it was such a difficult client. So if I have things that are very difficult, I can still call on him. And we have a team of 29 people globally. So we can work 24/7 around the clock if we need to on people's brands, if they need that wording done in a hurry, basically. So what we did, we finally had a few emails back and forth, and we extracted some of the more useful words for her. I mean, like a lot of people who are really great at what they do, they actually are a bit lost in they're quite humble, and they find it quite difficult to actually explain how amazing they are using the right words to propel them in their career or their business to the next level, right? And that's what I found it was fascinating working with her, absolutely fascinating. And she was so happy. I mean, literally, I got a testimonial from her shortly afterwards. And anyone can talk to her and ask her if they want to. Any of the people I've worked with, you know, people can ask them for recommendations, you know. And she actually secured 2 interviews and a job within 5 days, working with a top CEO of a particular branch of a company. I can't talk about that either, I'm afraid, because it's a secret. You know, it's you can't divulge these things to people, because it you know, that goes hand in hand with this, and anything that is talked about has to be very, very private, you know. So another chap who I worked with personally quite recently, he's called Tim Elliott, and I'm just gonna have a quick look at my notes here. I know quite a lot about him because I've been working with him quite closely, but it's always good to reference notes. Yeah, he's an ex-digital marketing tutor for the Chartered Institute of Marketing, right? And he was actually struggling, like many people in marketing who work for themselves, to stay focused on what they do, because it's a bit like, you know what it's like. I mean, you understand, you work with a lot of marketers, right? And so he was struggling to do that. He was launching an event. He was trying to be a mentor, and he was trying to do, so there were loads of different things that he was wanting to do. And it really helped him a lot to focus, basically. And he's actually given me a fantastic testimonial as well, which is just brilliant. I'll get to that a bit later. I've got a bit of info on that. But another couple of chaps, I've worked with 2 out of the 61 IBM futurists. I'm one of the 61 global IBM futurists at the moment. And yeah, Stephen Monaco, he's a colleague of mine as well. And what a fantastic guy to work with. Absolutely fantastic. And he, in fact, he was the founder of a company called Data Storm Technologies, and he grew that to over 50 million in global annual sales, with a 70% market share in the world. Yeah. And so he's in the process of writing me a testimonial, because I haven't actually got a written one from him yet, but he's very happy with the work that we did together, because he had forgotten something that was so unique to his story. And I was really excited about it, because so I was speaking to him, and I was kind of like, so what happened back in the early days? This is what I said to him. And he was like, well, I shared an office with this gentleman at Warner Brothers, right? And I was like, okay, so who was this guy? And he was basically, he was one of the top people at Warner Brothers. Back when Stephen was like 21, 22, he shared an office suite with this guy, right? And he learned about intellectual property. He learned amazing business skills, yeah? And he'd forgotten all about this, right? And we had a conversation, and I was like, right, so you're missing your unique selling point here, which comes from something that you have forgotten about.
Right.
Yeah. And it was just such a joy to work with him. He was such a joy to work with. And now we're working on creating digital ecosystems for people with our partners in Canada. And hi there, Jamie. Thanks for joining. And so Stephen, he's a fantastic individual. Jamie, in fact, I haven't got a testimonial yet from him because I'm in the process of doing his LinkedIn profile. Jamie Robert Howes. He's an award-winning photographer. So we did the brand wording process as well, and I'm just going to be finishing up his LinkedIn wording the next week or two when he gets time. And then also, John Lawson as well is another IBM futurist, and we just finished that up a few weeks ago, and his brand profile it was so much fun to work on. It was also like Stevens and the other guys. It was so much fun because he in fact was a DJ at college, okay, right, at school, and he left school and then he basically went on to becoming an amazing expert in e-commerce. And that's what he does. He's an expert in e-commerce. And what a fantastic guy to work with. Absolutely brilliant. And he founded the E-commerce Association in the US with 6,400 members, right? Doing like $100 million turnover. Yeah. And we worked together. So earlier today, I'm going to reference my note here. I hate looking down because it's a bit impersonal, but he's going to write me a testimonial. And what he said is that if it was left to him to actually come up with his wording, it would have taken him forever. Right. Mm-hmm. And you're talking about someone who was an Accenture consultant. Yeah. So these guys are like very serious business people. And he said it would have taken him forever because he's got a business to run, like a lot of these guys, they've got businesses to run. Yeah. So John said his personal brand was not being elevated, is what he said. And, that also is very, very interesting. And yeah, I mean, I helped them to get over their problem by explaining very clearly what they do so that people can actually understand it in words that resonate with them, right? Mm. Because a lot of people use industry terms. No one knows what they're talking about, and also what gives them credibility and authority. All right. Because everyone is fighting. They're all fighting to become, to look amazing, aren't they, online, right? Like everyone is fighting for that. And also to explain why they're different and or better than anyone else. And, working with these guys, it wasn't easy, right? As I said, it wasn't sunshine and roses, right? It was pretty tough. And at times, I had to say, no, I'm sorry, that's wrong. Yeah. And we went through a few conversations back and forth and finally they kind of eventually agree with me, Yeah. Working with Jamie was also like that. I mean, he's won loads of awards for photography. He's been in all sorts of magazines and he's a tutor, teaches people from all levels, university, all the way down to beginner like me, complete amateur. Didn't even know I need to hold my iPhone up in the air to like take a picture of myself, but what fun, I absolutely love doing wording with people. It's really a lot of joy actually for me. And, I think if they hadn't worked with me, it would have been far worse for them. You know, I mean, certainly it would have taken Farah a lot longer to actually get a job. It would have taken Tim a lot longer to focus. It would have taken Jamie a lot longer to be able to grow into where he wanted to be with. You see, he loved working with me. And the thing is, I don't work with everyone. Like, there has to be a kind of, you have to be able to be honest with people, right? And if there's a level of kind of fakeness and anything else, it doesn't kind of wash. Like, you're not going to build a personal brand if you're not authentic. Yeah. And that's why you and I are having this conversation, because I watched you for years, and I've seen you grow, like, from your videos have just grown, and you become like amazing at what you do, you know, and that's what it's all about, really. It's so much fun. It really is. So, you know, I mean, I think like John said, it would have taken him forever to kind of get it right. And, you know, I think it's something that it had to be done for me. I mean, my personal brand, all right, I looked okay. I did a few photos and kind of showed myself off, you know, a little bit, but actually, without getting the wording right, people sort of look at you and there's no substance to you, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think when you've got an expert who's very good at what they do have a tough time explaining it. I know I'm able to do 100 different things, but narrowing that down into a few words, doing your own marketing for yourself is awful, right? It's a lot easier to see what stands out to somebody else. And that's where you're in that position to talk to somebody and get them to realize, wait a minute, like you said, I had this experience 20 years ago and I completely forgot about it. And yet it utterly changed my perception of things and my ability to understand things, how they go about doing business, having that Warner Brothers chap in there to show him, okay, these are the pieces of business and this is how you work with it, right? If you don't talk to somebody like you who can narrow that down and get the right wording and extract that information, you may never get around to it, and you may completely miss it. So I think anybody who's in a position of transitioning, who's in a position in their life where if you're not happy with who you are and what you're doing, but you know you're coming from this authentic place, as you say, where you're able to honestly look at yourself and talk about yourself in an honest way and not have that wall up, those shields up kind of, then I think that a relationship with you is going to be very beneficial for them. So yeah, we mentioned, you know, if somebody hadn't worked with you, it would be a lot worse. What's another example of that?
That's a good question. I mean, I think self-esteem comes into this quite a lot. And I think building a personal brand it actually sits very closely aligned with self-esteem, and a lot of people, in fact, don't realize how great they are at what they're doing, and like, I mean, they don't understand. Like, I mean, John Lawson, for example, I mean, he's shared the stage with Les Brown. I mean, like, you know, Les Brown is, right?
Yeah. I listen to him all the time. Yeah.
Me too. You know, and like Stephen, he's built a massive business and sold it. You know, successful people, but because it's a bit like a business, you're inside the business and you forget what it looks like from the outside.
From the outside.
Yeah. And I mean, Jamie with his photographic courses and things like this, he had forgotten how amazing he was, you know. So it's almost like a bit of a confidence booster, but it also enables people. I mean, Tim Elliott, he what he said is that some of the biggest lessons throughout his career were actually he needs to always be learning. So he needs to always professionally develop all the time. So the personal branding, it gave him clarity and it helped him to build consistency across his business as well, because it's so close to the business as well. It's not like, oh, your personal brand's over there. The personal brand can actually be so much cheaper to market than a business. You know, and it can build a business. I mean, I was reading something like 24 times the engagement rate on personal brands versus corporate brands. That's what entrepreneur.com actually were mentioning a few months ago. So what Tim does, he actually encourages personal branding with his clients as well, and it helps people to understand what you do. And that's the thing. It's like a lot of people, they're like, oh, well, what do you do? It's like, well, I do personal branding. I help people tell other people what they do so that it saves them time and makes them money, right? Like it's pretty simple. Yeah. And I do that, but I also connect people with my guys in Canada that build the digital ecosystems to help them to take their businesses to the next level as well, you know. But Tim said it gave him confidence and the foundation for explaining clearly what he does, basically. And he also said it helps him to stay focused like a compass to true north. I asked him this yesterday because we only talked about this conversation yesterday. So, but you know, and I think also with Farah, who's the top class PA, she actually was so happy. She would have ended up looking for a job for a lot longer and having a lot more financial worries and stress. I mean, that's what this prevents. It gives you a clear understanding of who you are, what you do, how to explain it to others, and build your self-esteem. I mean, when I went through the process, it was hard because I didn't.
You described that in the book. Yeah. I go through that in the book, and I use that whole process that I outline in the book for helping people. But a lot of people they can't actually read the book and then create it themselves because they're inside their minds. They're not looking at it with a fresh pair of eyes, and a lot of time it's what you need to do, you know. So, right. There's another book called Profit First that my Closing Engine co-founder and I have been going through and implementing in that. And the author there talks about, because we've been talking about focus and clarity, about business owners who have tacked on services to their business to offer just because they can offer them, believing that because I can offer, if I'm a lawn mowing service or something, maybe I can do chimney cleaning or something like that, right? I'll make more money. No. It's he's got a great drawing of a straight arrow, and the straight arrow is the direction you want to go in, which is the focus that you're talking about helping people get. And then there's arrows going off all in other directions, and they're all leading away from profit. All of them. Even though there's an apparency maybe that it looks like you might make more money by offering more services, having that clarity and being able to communicate it. This is where the wording that you're talking about is so important, because selling is all about duplicating an idea from you into somebody else's mind. And if they don't understand that, if that idea is not duplicated up there, there's no selling. It doesn't happen. They're not going to buy from you. And so that is where I think there's a tremendous power in your book and in your service, the personal service that you're offering, and helping people get that clarity. So
thank you.
I really appreciate it. So what can people do? I know we're running out of time here. What can people do? I think you'll link to the book below, obviously.
Yeah, I'll get a link to the book. I mean, the guys in the studio are mixing this, so I will try. I don't know what comments have been going on. I just let them deal with the
We've
comments.
Seen a few,
deal with the comments. But I'll certainly put that there.
If somebody's watching and gone, wow, this is totally what I need, I get it, what should they do next?
Well, they should contact me, and then we can get started. You know, with their biggest problem. I'll be happy to help. Oh, look at that! Look at that! That's Stephen. You know, how lovely. Really appreciate that, Stephen. And you're a joy to work with. absolute joy to work with. He's very wordy though, so it was really tough. I'm not embarrassing you, Stephen. He's a great writer, right? And he's written a book, and he also has been writing for IBM as well over the past few years. And it was tough writing because every morning, because he's hours like he's a real late, so he goes to bed really, really late, and I get up really early. So every morning I would see this whole load more words, and so I'd get up and I would remove all of these words to a different document. And because it's about clarity and the fewest words you can possibly use, and they act as the framework. So yeah, I'm happy to help. If anyone wants some help from me, please message me. I've actually got 3 different options, and I'll happily discuss pricing. I've got a very reasonable option as well. I'm only really want to work with 6 people a month, and that's maximum, because I can't take on any more than that. I could outsource, but I would rather actually just deal one-to-one with people. It makes sense for me, really. So yeah, thank you so much for tuning in, everybody, and thank you so much, Jason, for coming on board and listening to my story and stuff like that. And yeah, please, people message me on Facebook, and we can have a conversation about your biggest problem and go through, the next steps, basically.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. All right, so I think Stefan is
Yeah,
there.
I'm here.
Is he there?
Good.
Yeah, so I think you guys wanted to have the link for the famous Cheers to You book. So I think the producers, the multiple producers behind the scenes are here, and I think so. It's a dedicated web server for Nathaniel C.Schooler, secured one. This is why you have an IP address instead of the domain name. And then if you click on that link directly on Facebook page, then you will land up on the website page, secured one, so you can purchase a copy of that. Yeah, no problem about it.
Thank you, Stefan. It's been a lot of fun. I think. Oh, look, Sandra says she's been meaning to buy a copy. Right. Look, she's nearly there.
Go get it. I got mine right away.
Yeah, that's the magic of Facebook Live shows and interviews. Now it's because people are, just using their smartphones or a laptop at home or office. Because now 2017 is over. Don't tell everybody, but it's now over. We are in 2018, so it's a new page on the new book for this year. I look forward for some new interviews, and Jason, more in details, about what is your trade, what are you doing, what you're bringing as value to the community. That's something that we are really looking forward. So if there is nothing else more to go for now, I would like to thank you for joining us on Facebook Live. So this interview is live, but of course everybody can watch the replay afterwards, and we're going to share on several pages, Facebook groups. And I think, Jason, you might also share sure. from your handles as well. And Sandra from Toronto, I think, she missed the interview, but she just illustrated what I just said. She will watch the replay. One thing that also the audience is expecting is also what I call planification. People are eager to listen and watch conversation that are bringing value to them on various topics. Today we've been talking about personal branding, but I have heard several times mentioned to digital ecosystem, and that is a concern throughout the world. We've been participating in interviews and collaboration with Doug Buller in Australia, with Stephen Monaco in Kansas, Missouri. Actually, everybody wakes up in 2018 with that in mind. What is a digital ecosystem? What kind of personal branding bring to my business? Does it support my business? So people are starting to get, the roundabouts, the details, the silhouette of what personal branding can do for them. So if I have a word for wrapping up everything, I would really advise everybody to join the #1 social media platform in the world that has really skyrocketed all the statistics, outperformed LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter in terms of monthly active users. It's called BB, BEBEE.com. It's actually a personal branding platform with outstanding statistics and results in terms of organic outreach. And not only, you pay and then people are just, reading your blog posts and outlines. Guys,
thank you.
Thank you for watching and joining. Talk to you soon.
Appreciate it. Thanks everyone for watching as well. Thanks to our great clients too.
Yeah.